The internet is buzzing, 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 buzzing. Is she cray cray, or is she doing investigative journalism? Or perhaps she is doing the good Lord's work. Candace Owens has lost her mind. Did you hear what Candace Owens said? Yo, Candace is off the chain. Yo, Candace Owens? What's she talking about? She's asking all these questions. Candace Owens, what's going on with you? Has she lost her mind? Candace Owens, do you need help, Candace? Can we help you, Candace? What can we do? I think she's lost her mind. I think Candace Owens has gone off the deep end. She's asking way too many questions. Somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to do something because she's lost her mind. Has she though? Candace has lost her mind. Candace has lost her mind. Hello, fellow patriot, and welcome back to The Conservative Poet. If you are new here, my name is Amanya, and here on the channel, we do political commentary. We throw in some satire, parody, comedy to drive home the crazies that we are seeing in the society. Friend, if that is something that is interesting to you, then I suggest you stick around. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So friends, the YouTube streets are talking, and the name that is on their tongue and their mouth is Candace Owens. And everybody has something to say when it comes to this woman. And a lot of it has to do with what happened with the beloved Charlie Kirk. And so many people, many YouTubers and commentators have been literally going in and taking her content and repurposing, and we all do it because she's a big brand and she's a big channel and she's got a lot of followers, and, and she doesn't mind people clipping her work to do response and reactions. And so a lot of people are going in and dissecting everything that she said, every content that she's been putting out since Charlie Kirk. I mean, they've always done it, but for right now, because this is a very sensitive topic, right? And so she's got her own take and her own point of views that she is presenting to we the public. And my stance on this is that she is coming from a journalistic point of view. She's asking questions, journalism. She's digging. She's bringing us footage, things that we didn't even know was going on until she presented it to the public, where the government, the FBI, the DOJ, and the rest of them, the police, were not really giving us these kinds of things. We were learning them from watching Candace Owens. That's how we were learning about some of the things. So, for example, this so-called intervention that happened with Charlie Kirk and Bill Ackman in the Hamptons. Again, the public didn't know anything about it. This was not a Turning Point USA event where, it was shown to the public that this was going on. This was a hush-hush, private kind of event. So she brought that to the public's eye, and she brought up a lot of things that's happened with the shooting. For example, the person who was removing the cameras from the back when Charlie was shot. So these are the things she's bringing up, and there's questions. She's questioning the documents that they presented as far as the text messages go between this kid Robinson and his lover Lance. So she's bringing up things, and people seems to have a problem with that. Like, I don't understand if she's bringing up valid points. Another point was the fact that something could have happened underground, because 2 days later they repaved after Charlie was shot in the same place. They repaved it. Like, so there's a lot of things that she's questioning and bringing to the forefront that we, the people, we had no clues about. And so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Candace and the journalism work that she has done throughout these years. Now, if you're familiar with her channel, she goes into these series where she hooks onto a topic and she goes all in. We've got the Kamala Chronicles. That's another one that she worked on. Again, journalism. She went on it. She worked on this for about 2 or 3 months, constantly every day, presenting to we the public information and after information, things that we had no clues about when it came to Kamala Harris. And then another journalism work that she did was the Black Lives Matter, where she went and she did a whole documentary on the ground, bringing us the information. Again, journalism. And she did also the Macron, Becoming Brigitte, the man with who's now a woman. These are the kinds of things. And another investigative work that she did, she was actually contacted by Harvey Weinstein, the famous Hollywood producer who ended up wrapped up in this Me Too movement, so to speak, and he's roped up and is in prison. Well, guess what? He reached out to Candace Owens to do investigative journalism on his behalf. He didn't reach out to, famous anchors on ABC and CNN and all of them. Nope. He reached out to Candace Owens. Why? Because she does thorough investigative journalism, thorough work. And so now she is essentially replacing the mainstream media when it comes to who people trust. And so I want to talk about today some of the work that she's done and why in this moment, as she takes on this new investigative work, going into the Charlie Kirk assassination and bringing us this daily, why I think that this is an amazing thing that we need, because there is no other journalist out there doing this kind of work. None of them are out there digging. None of them are asking questions. None of them are pushing back, because none of them want to. So I am happy to see that Candace Owens is literally picking up the baton and doing this thing, right? That's what she's doing, and she should be praised for it. She should not be attacked for it. If any of us are smart, we should take what she's doing and figure out, how can we add value? How can we help? What are we seeing in this whole thing? So we can say, you know what? I'm a part of this big tips network that's helping Candace Owens get to the bottom of it. That's what we should do. And that's what commentators and everybody else, because essentially we are all journalists when you think about it, especially being out here on YouTube doing these reactions and talking about the news and whatever's going on. It's time for us to take it one step further and become citizen journalists. That's what we are. That's what we are. And so I think it's important in this moment for us not to be complacent and just sit around and be yes men to the status quo and just go along with whatever they're saying when it doesn't make sense. For example, something that doesn't make sense, and I watched because I've been catching up on what she's been doing. So I played catch up last night and I had to watch about two episodes back to back. So there's a conversation now happening in reference to the person who took down the video. And she said, well, I saw the video, I saw the footage, but the funny thing is, she said something about blood, like she didn't see blood or she saw blood or one or the other. And so now people who hunt, who knows what happens when a shot goes off like that, they're commenting and they're saying, you know what, something ain't right. Alex Jones came out and said, you know what, something ain't right with this, because I'm a shot, I hunt, I know what's supposed to happen, and what we're hearing isn't what's supposed to happen. So again, there's questions, right? And so she is proposing these questions to the people in charge, the FBI, the police, the DOJ, whoever. And she's saying, well, friends, we got questions. And so I think it's critically important in this moment for we, the people, to not just accept what they've told us and just go along with it. And that is what Candace is doing. She's pushing back and saying, this doesn't make sense. I saw this. This doesn't sound right. These text messages seems like they've been pieced together. She's dissecting this thing. She's dissecting it. And she's working on the timeline of every single minute. What happened every minute? That's going to give us a clear picture of what went on from what time to what time, what happened in these times. You know, so one thing that I was thinking about during all of this, so this kid, Tyler Robinson, he's sitting there waiting for the police for things to cool down. He lives 4 hours away. He ended up going home. When did that happen? Did he not stop for gas somewhere? Did he not stop for food somewhere? Did he not stop to use the bathroom somewhere? Like, shouldn't there be footage of him out there in these moments? Like, if this is an FBI investigation, especially right now in this day and age with cameras everywhere, drones everywhere, all of these things, everybody's got a camera in their hand, video everywhere. Like, why aren't we seeing footage of what's happening? Like, what happened? Why aren't we getting footage about that? So these are the kinds of questions she's proposing. So I just went on a real rant right there. I need to breathe.
Thank you, everyone who has been supporting the conservative poet. I owe you a debt of gratitude. And if you haven't supported the channel, you can do so now. We have new merch that you can purchase, candles, mugs, all kinds of great merch. Please visit theorlandopatriot.com and get yourself 30% off. Thank you so much.
So another thing that I want to touch points on when it comes to Candace, you know, striking with this hot iron, because one of the things that, you know, I know, and that comes from, you know, a friend of mine, Coach Boom, and he's always saying, if you don't put fire to it, if you don't put heat to it, it grows cold. You know, have you heard of cold cases? You know, they can never solve it. Well, this is why. And Candace Owens is saying, I'm going to put the fire to this. I'm not letting this go cold. I'm not letting it go cold. And so she is looking at it. She's on it. She said it. There's two people who has influence on her that can make her stop what she's doing. That's her husband, and that is Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow. She said, those are the only two that can make me stop this. And I hope neither one of them do that, because we need to get to the bottom of it, because in this moment, she is representing we the people, right? She is representing Charlie Kirk in this moment, because she's not letting this down. She's opening up every box. She's looking at under every rock. It may not make sense, but whatever. We're going to pull the information, anything that pertains to this, anything that could help solve who did this, how many people was involved with this. We're going to look at it. And this is what she's doing. And we've seen this with her over and over again when she goes into one of these investigations. And one of the investigations that she's gone in, and I want to just sort of go back in her story to sort of bring forth the work that she's done, the body of work that she's done, starting with the Black Lives Matter and that documentary. So I'm going to play the trailer to that, just so you can see how thorough she is with doing the work. And then I want to play some of the bits and pieces from other investigations that she's gone in and she's done. So again, the Kamala Harris Chronicles, the Becoming Brigitte Chronicles, or investigation, if you will. So we can see she's thorough. She dots her I's and she crosses her T's, and she does it over and over and over again. So in this moment, this can't be easy for her. This is a friend of hers. She's got to go and peel back the onion and go into these spaces and ask the hard questions. Why did this happen? Who was involved? And how was Charlie Kirk being treated before this assassination, and by whom? And all of these things tie into it, why it's important and why Charlie Kirk is no longer here, why he was assassinated, why he was murdered, why he was killed. And she's not going to put that hot iron down, and nobody should. And these people who call themselves journalists, you know, the CNNs of the world, the ABCs of the world, and all of these people that we're journalists. We're here, journalism. Really? Candace Owens runs circles around you, the journalist. And for the work that she's done, she should be getting those awards, those journalist awards. No, but they give them to people. I don't know who's gotten one recently, but those are the kinds of people they give it to. People who aren't really doing the work. They're sitting there with papers in front of them, not actually doing work, actually asking questions, actually doing anything. The only time they want to push back on anything is when it comes to anything Donald Trump. That's when they want to push back on anything. Outside of that, they got no smoke for nobody, for nothing. Well, Candace Owens, it's not that she's bringing the smoke for anybody. She's uncovering what's going on. And once again, it's called investigative journalism. And here's what that looks like.
Lives Matter released their 990 IRS filings. They collected $80 million. Where is that money?
It's not here. Everything looks worse than it was.
Where have you seen that money impacted throughout the city? So my producer just sent me a link. It is just shocking to me because of how much money was raised to think that where he lived, the bills weren't being covered. Super frustrating, but that's a dead end, so. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ready for some BLM pride? Another $200K went to escorts, BDSM workers, strippers, peep show workers, phone sex operators, and webcam performers. And then at that moment, it became personal. And I thought, not only am I going to say the truth, I am going to scream the truth louder than you can scream the lies. It's incredible that the majority of the world hasn't seen this.
That was Candace Owens' work. Investigative journalism, a documentary, a film she put together to unfold, to showcase what happened with the Black Lives Movement and all of the money that they raised and where the money went to. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go and find it and watch it because it's worth your time to see as she unfolds the truth, as she drops the receipts, as she put the truth out there for we the people to know. We knew Black Lives Matter had issues. We knew there was a lot going on, but it was her, this journalist, who picked up the baton. She picked it up and she did the work. We had questions and Candace Owens dropped the truth bombs with the greatest lie ever told, the greatest story ever, the greatest lie story ever told. Anyway, you know what I mean. That's what she did. The greatest lie ever sold. That's it. And now she's on to a new one, a new story where cover-ups might be happening or may not be happening. But either way, we the people want to know what happened to Charlie Kirk and why. So the next investigative journalism that we're going to look at by Candace Owens was the Kamala Chronicles, which she did last year during the 2024 election cycle. And the reason this all started was because of Janet Jackson. So Candace loves Janet, and Janet, the mob was coming for Janet to cancel her because she maybe had some questions in reference to Kamala. And so she wasn't really on board with voting for Kamala. And so the mob came for Janet Jackson. And Candace Owens said, oh no, friend. No, we're going to do some work here. And so that's how it started. And it went on for months. And I think there's like almost 20 or so videos, probably more, in reference to the work that she did, because she went down the family tree. I mean, she went all the way in. And I'm so surprised that the Kamala camp, like, nobody said anything. Like, at least I'm not aware of what they did, but I know that they were trying to shut Candace up. But again, investigative journalism. So here's a little bit into the work that she did on the Kamala Chronicles.
Okay, so in case you are new to the show and you did not follow the story, you were apparently under a rock for the last 2 months or so, we had encountered some oddities in Kamala Harris's autobiographical book, The Truths We Hold, that we felt were worthy of exploration, namely her grandma, Beryl, okay? The Beryl, at least, that she says is her grandma in her book. This is actually a page from her book. And you can see on the bottom there, it says, visiting my paternal grandmother, Beryl, in Jamaica. Okay, so that woman allegedly was supposed to be the mother of Donald Harris, who is allegedly Kamala's father. And yet that Beryl was actually mentioned nowhere in the actual text of the book, just the photo. And then she was removed entirely from the Youth Readers edition, which was published just a couple of months later. I'm going to show you this birth certificate right now up on the screen. Look at this, okay? And you can see this is very new. I'm also holding this here in my hand. It's very, very new, okay? Not a big deal. You have to reissue the birth certificate. You're not going to send me an original copy, but we're going to get closer here and notice some things that are very, very wrong about this birth certificate. The first thing being his name. We have been searching this entire time, and he is known publicly as Donald Jasper Harris. The birth certificate that we have, and we can confirm that his birthday is correct. We have August of 1938, August 23rd, 1938. That is, in fact, Donald Jasper Harris's birthday. But this man's name is Donald Joseph Harris, which just throws us for a loop. We attempted to get this birth certificate for months. For whatever reason, our requests were just being denied. But now that the election is over, it seems magically Jamaica's registrar office is back open for business. And then something huge happened. A Jamaican woman named Dorothy came forward, who apparently had maybe been following our series, and she was asked point blank, and she knew Donald's brother. Donald has one full brother. He has a lot of half siblings, but one full sibling named Kenneth. And lo and behold, Jamaica's registrar's office sends us Donald's birth certificate. Drum roll, please. I'm going to show you this birth certificate right now up on the screen. Look at this, okay?
When I tell you that this reporter is thorough, absolutely thorough. This investigation was done here on U.S. soil, but hey, she got so much help from people in Jamaica, people across the country who were vested in ousting who Kamala Harris really was. So she gets tips and help from the public because of the work that she is doing. The public trust her to bring us, I should say, the truth about a lot of what's going on. And this Kamala Chronicle was mind-blowing. The amount of research that it took for her and her team to put this thing together. I mean, she had documents, she had birth certificates, she had all funeral deceased documents. I mean, she did not leave not one stone unturned. And when the election was over and this thing was over, it was like, no, we need more, because we still need to know more, because there's so much different angles she could have gone. She could have gone into the family tree about, you know, what happened with her other relatives and so on and so forth. Just so much that could have developed out of that. But unfortunately, it came to an end. We were done with Kamala, so we were done with the Chronicles. But like I watched AOC in a clip recently. She was talking about the Marvel movies, like at the end when it's all over, and then the hand crawls up. Well, that could be Kamala Harris in a couple of years after she's done licking her wounds for not becoming president, and of course she can't become governor of California because nobody wants her, and so now she's got a book out there trying to sell another book. I pray she didn't make any mistakes in that one, because Candace Owens will probably revive the Kamala Harris Chronicles. Man, you did such a great job, Candace. We are proud, girl. Proud of you for what you've done. You keep at it. The next investigation that Candace Owens did, I want to highlight here, is the Becoming Brigitte. Now, this is crazy, but it appears that Candace sort of picked up on this. People had been buzzing about this for years. There were other journalists out there across the pond who was working on this. Some of them came up unalived. Okay, some of them were persecuted. Some of them were had to deal with the courts and fines and so on. Obviously, if you're talking about that the first lady of this country was born with a penis and not a vagina, I mean, again, that's something to talk about, right? And so Candace Owens picked this up. Us here on this side of the aisle in the Western hemisphere, we weren't aware of these things. Candace started talking about this. I wasn't really interested in it. I'm like, I don't know. But you know what captured me, that made me start to pay attention, is how she dissected the evil of what this is, what this actually is. Here you are, a president of a country where you are vested in transgenderism and homosexuality and all of these gross, sinful things. That's really what this is all about. I recently watched an episode of PBD podcast, and one of the panelists, he's one of the regular ones, I can't think of his name right now, but he was just, well, you know what? She's got so much time on her hands that she literally gave up like a year of her life to talk about some dude's penis. No, friend. It's more than just about some dude's penis. It's about the principle of the thing. It's about these demonic people making these kinds of things normal, putting it in our face as if we're stupid dum-dum. And Candace is saying no. She went back and tracked like how all of this started, like the reasons for all of this. Like she did this whole thing. I suggest y'all go and watch the Becoming Brigitte series, because I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy. But again, her point of doing this is to highlight the evil of what this is and how they support this, and how the family, the mother, and everybody is tied into all of this transgenderism and homosexuality and abusing of children and all of these things. That's what this series was all about. It wasn't about searching for Macron's Brigitte's penis, even though I'm sure maybe they've got it cut. Maybe they cut it up and she's got it shrined somewhere. Memories, souvenirs of what used to be. I'm just saying. And Candace did such an amazing job of laying this out again, documents after documents, pictures and video. And in the midst of this, they were trying to sue her. And she brought that to light. And at one point, she actually said that the president of these United States of America, Donald J. Trump, made a call to Candace and say, look, Candace, darling, you've got to stop this thing. I'm going to find that clip and stick it somewhere, because she does a brilliant Donald Trump. But let us now go into Becoming Brigitte, another informative investigation by Candace the reporter, the journalist, Owens. Show them how it's done.
I think it's safe to say that my interview with journalist Xavier Poussard completely melted the internet. It definitely melted our website at CandaceOwens.com. There were many people who had not previously engaged in the series entirely, but they saw the now infamous side-by-side of the photo of a young Jean-Michel when he was 18 years old, taken at an engineering school, next to the current French First Lady, Brigitte Macron. And they were just kind of jolted into the understanding that something was very wrong. Like, yes, you can be an almost identical twin with your brother who you're supposed to have 7 or 8 years apart from, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The photographic evidence became instantly, I think, undeniable for a lot of people. We have covered so much. One can only come to understand how such a potential identity swap could be feasible if you begin to map out the supporting cast of characters. That's why we took our time here, because you have to understand who is around these people. What is their network? How much power would it take if you did want to create identities or destroy identities? And we've arrived there. We have finally arrived there. So first and foremost, just bringing this back up, let's take again a look at Emmanuel's family tree, about the circumstance in terms of him describing, well, it was my grandmother that first taught me how to ride a bike. And I also find it to be suspicious. Again, this is our last episode, so we can start to theorize a bit. I feel incredibly suspicious about the fact that they're both doctors, that they were doctors, that dad's a pediatrician, and your mom, who we thought or didn't understand why she was involved with the Social Security office, actually was involved in helping transgendered people secure new identities. That doesn't make us feel good about that nebula that is around them. And of course, like I said, the curious case of his grandmother, who he affectionately calls Manette. We know that there are virtually no photos of her available. The person who essentially raised Emmanuel Macron, again, according to his own autobiography, we are given just 2 photographs of. Why? Do we even actually know if that was her name? She was allegedly also a teacher. Why is it so hard to get photographs that demonstrate his childhood? Today, we are going to permit ourselves a little more wiggle room. I hold the suspicion that many of the people have come to, I think, at the same exact understanding that it could be plausible that all of these people have multiple identities. If you've got somebody in the family that can destroy identities and create identities, why wouldn't you use that to your advantage? And I also think it's important to think about the time frame. It was a different world. Thinking about relatives that were growing up during World War I or World War II, we are talking about humans moving over national lines, nations changing, literally geographical changes that were happening, depending on who won wars or who lost wars, right? You had people who were hiding their true identities, sometimes out of a necessity, out of fear of persecution, right? You have to completely get IDs, change your identity, and hide in different countries. Well, we know for a fact that within this particular story, despite what we're being sold as the public, at least one side of the family changed their names, or had one member who changed their names. And it's kind of strange that the public was sold this story about the Trognos without somebody just adding that actually we made up this guy's name. Let's get into that Trogno family, right?
So once again, if you haven't seen the series on Becoming Brigitte, I definitely think it's worth the watch, at least so we can understand what goes on in other countries across the pond, because make no mistake, friends, that what you see, the foolishness and craziness that happens over there, it always makes its way to we, the Americas. So, we've had homosexuals running for office, and who knows what the future could hold, because again, this is some demonic stuff and it's happening on the other side. And Candace Owens is ringing the alarm to tell us, if we're not careful, these kinds of things can happen right here in our God-fearing country. And so I encourage you to go and watch it. it's worth the time at least to understand all of the wickedness and all of the evil that goes on behind these scenes and these people of power and what they do behind closed doors and what they do. Hell, they probably do it all out in the open. And that's one of the things. They're pushing it out there in the open for all of us to see. Should I even bring up back during the Olympics? Remember that whole opening display of the Last Supper with the homosexuals and everything? Yeah, all of these kinds of things. That's what's going to come over to our shores. So Candace is exposing what is going on for us to be mindful and clear about what the agenda is going to be for we here in America. So great journalism work there. She went under every rock. She just went under, and she pulled out so much. And so again, this is what's happening there, and we might see it here in our own country. So kudos to Candace Owens for taking up the baton and doing the work. So once again, if you haven't seen the series on Becoming Brigitte, I definitely think it's worth the watch, at least so we can understand what goes on in other countries across the pond. Because make no mistake, friends, that what you see, the foolishness and craziness that happens over there, it always makes its way to we, the Americas. So, we've had homosexuals running for office, and who knows what the future could hold, because again, this is some demonic stuff and it's happening on the other side. And Candace Owens is ringing the alarm to tell us, if we're not careful, these kinds of things can happen right here in our God-fearing country. And so I encourage you to go and watch it. It's worth the time, at least to understand all of the wickedness and all of the evil that goes on behind these scenes and these people of power and what they do behind closed doors and what they do. Hell, they probably do it all out in the open. And that's one of the things. They're pushing it out there in the open for all of us to see. Should I even bring up back during the Olympics? Remember that whole opening display of the Last Supper with the homosexuals and everything? Yeah, all of these kinds of things. That's what's going to come over. So friends, I am so glad to see someone not afraid to ask the questions and do actual journalism work the way that Candace Owens does. And with the last one, with Kamala Harris, with Black Lives Matter, and with this Becoming Brigitte, all of these are woke nonsense. They wanted us to believe that this organization, BLM, was somehow a good thing. In theory, Black lives do matter. In theory, all lives matter. But it's what's behind this organization that made it cancerous and toxic. You saw it. All this money that was pulled in did not go to help the people. Again, more woke agendas. And then Kamala Harris, they said to us, hey, vote for her. She's the first black woman president and all this. First of all, she's not black. She's Indian, red dot. And they said, hey, vote for her because she's a black woman, because she's got a vagina. Again, more woke nonsense. Not because she's a good politician. Well, not a politician. Not that because she's a good leader or that she has ideas that's going to better the country, better your life, better my life, better the community, the society, good policies. No, she ain't had none of that. All she had was she black and she got a vagina. So you better vote for her. More woke nonsense. And then, of course, Becoming Brigitte, again, a male who has become a transgender, now calls himself female, and again is now called the First Lady of France. So again, more woke craziness. I would be remiss if I did not tell you in this moment about my book, Understanding Wokeness. It is a guide to understanding woke words. So words that the left keeps coming up with, and we've got to understand what they mean, what they're talking about, because friends, the English language is so tricky. We have to understand what their meanings are when they say these woke words, when they say I don't know, cisgender, or when they say ageism, or all of these words that we're just like, what does that mean? So understanding wokeness is my guide to understanding these woke words. It's a list of words was I picked out from one of the woke universities, and I went in and got their definition of it. Then I went through the dictionary and found actual definition. And again, by the way, some of those dictionaries are woke, Webster woke. And then I gave common sense commentary in reference to my thoughts and everything like that. So it's a robust conversation when it comes to all of these different words. So you can go to understandingwokeness.com and pick up a copy. It's instant. It's an ebook. You can download it instant. Understandingwokeness.com. Thank you again for your support and you understanding and educating yourself on all of these woke things. Because if we don't understand what they're talking about, how can we push back? How can we fight them if we don't know the words and terms that they're using? So understandingwokeness.com. Support what I'm doing here on The Conservative Poet. So friends, we have come to the end of this conversation. So I hope that you all, if you haven't been watching the investigation into Charlie Kirk that Candace Owens is doing, and the questions that she's asking and the things that's not making sense, I suggest you go and start watching it. She's got a couple of episodes in thus far, and every day she's dropping more and more, and big news and things that the police aren't telling us, the FBI, the DOJ, all of them, nothing that they are telling us. Candace Owens is literally doing their job. And then she's asking, well, can you look into this, friend? Can you look into that, Mr. FBI? Can you look into that, Mrs. DOJ? Can you look into these things? Because, or Mr. CIA, because this is what's happening. And we need answers in reference to who was involved, and everybody that took a part of this, and taking out a beloved person, a God-fearing Christian man like Charlie Kirk, for simply speaking truth. And guess what? We are never going to stop speaking truth. We're going to pound it and pound it and pound it, because this is what it means to be truth tellers. That's what we are. We are truth tellers. And Candace Owens is again taking the baton, and she's running all the way with it. And I pray that we fuel her at every minute. And so those people that's here on YouTube that is actually criticizing and telling her, well, you need to sit down somewhere, you just too much. No, she needs to be extra. She needs to be 10 times. She needs to outwork it 10 times more, so we can get more answers. No, it's not time to be complicit. It's not time to sit it down. It's not time to forget about Charlie Kirk. Oh, let's move on. No, we need to hammer it and hammer it and hammer it. And on that note, I'm going to bid you a good night. Thank you very much for watching and tuning into The Conservative Poet. I will see you in another conversation. God bless you. God keep you. God bless Candace Owens. God bless and protect Candace Owens, because Charlie Kirk was taken out for speaking truth, friends. And we need to pray that we, the truth tellers, are protected from the wickedness and the evil of those who wants to shut us up, because guess what? They can't handle the truth. They can't handle debate. They can't handle the fact when you lay it in front of them that you are wrong, you are crazy, cray, you are outside of your mind. Whenever they hear that, they can't compete, they can't do anything. So guess what? They want to kill somebody. They want to unalive somebody. So we need to pray for all of us out here on YouTube, all of us out here in the society who is speaking truth about all of this stuff. So, Father God, bless us, bless Candace Owens, protect us, oh Lord, from the wickedness and the evil. In Jesus' blessed and holiest name, I pray. And God bless you and keep you as well. I'll see you in another conversation.